Indiana Hoosiers Live 69 presented by FanDuel, Brad. We're live on YouTube at least. I'm not sure what's going on with Twitter. They're having issues on the StreamYard side and on the Twitter side, I think. So we're fighting tooth and nail to get that done. But an eventful Tuesday, Brad, off the holiday weekend. So how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. It's unfortunate to hear about the streaming news. But, we're just here to, create clips. If you're not able to meet us live, we got clips. Shit records for the, it saves on the YouTube so you can check it out later. And hopefully people tune in after the fact, if you're not able to catch us live on YouTube. But, yeah, feeling good. It's Tuesday coming on. It's almost March. So we got, obviously hoops on a lot of people's minds right now as – people don't really pay attention to winter workouts, but, that's why we're here. We're going to talk about the Indiana Hoosiers football program and maybe talk a little hoops. I don't know what you got for me. I show up, and Keezer throws things at me and I react live. And that's how we do it here. If you've never been here before, if you're
we're live on Twitter, Brad.
I'm getting we're live. Oh, beautiful. Love to hear it.
We're a little jumbled in the intro, but we're working through the technical difficulties.
We're a very adaptable podcast. We rip on the fly. We're able to roll with the punches. What other cliche sayings are out there when it comes to that? You got nothing for me, Keys?
Sorry, I'm getting the good word out there for the people.
We're live.
Sweet. Send. Pin.
Bang. Bang. Oh, yeah, there I am. I see it.
All right, Brad.
I see it. I see myself on Twitter right now. It's Goomception, really.
No, this is good stuff. I don't know. You don't spend any time on Twitter, so I just want to kind of jump right into this.
True. I tweeted yesterday about Houston basketball.
Well, then, did you see what the big news, what kicked up a bunch of dust on Twitter today?
Can't say I did. Exactly. I did see we were on a list of a fan of ours made a list of top accounts they likes to follow, and we were on it. I saw that. That was
pretty cool. That was definitely not what I was talking about, though. There was Shannon Terry, who created On3, created 24/7, created Rivals, basically developed the modern infrastructure of how people cover high school recruiting. I don't know if they said they paid for it or what, but they got this company that has 18 followers on Twitter to put together who had the most impressions in the college football. I guess they called it college football or college basketball, reporter space, I think, or something like that. Or it was football only, but they threw Joe Tipton in there. And basically they ranked the top 20, who has the most engagement in the space. And what they didn't do was include anybody really outside of the On3 landscape. And so people threw a shit fit. So Will Compton posting his numbers, and Blutman was posting his numbers, and Brandon Walker's posting fuck you Shannon Terry and all this stuff, and Barstool Tate, and so the Barstool guys were upset because they didn't have the representation on the list, and so it was a really good piece of media during a time where there really wasn't much going on over the weekend. A lot of people really upset, a lot of people interacting with On3 today.
Yeah, I did actually see that, and I was just wondering, where am I on that list? My impressions are super high. I tweet all the time. My Houston tweet got 2 likes yesterday, so I was like, where are my impressions? But yeah, I saw that. It was definitely interesting. I was a little thrown off when you were telling me how they're covering high school recruiting. Did they have any takes similar to mine about how it's going to shift more toward, it's going to be more focused on the portal? Is that's going to be more relevant in terms of now, as opposed to high school recruiting? It matters, but it won't matter till 2 or 3 years from now. And I think people are maybe starting to finally catch on to that, where it's you have a few true freshmen here and there that can, pan out and play right away. But for the most part, as we saw, big reason why the Hoosiers won, veteran-filled rosters tend to find success. And That's a direct correlation to the portal and NIL and things like that. But yeah, I did see back to the impression talk. Yeah, I was just wondering where I was on that. But yeah, if you're on that list, would definitely join my committee as I throw my hat in every week for college football commissioner, and many of those people on the list would be on my in my circle, my C-suite, if you will.
You said something really interesting there that I didn't intend to take the conversation in this direction, but it's something that I do think about quite a bit. There has been a shift in the way recruiting's been covered. You've seen, what was it? On3 brought in Rivals and basically made Rivals their high school wing, and then On3's the transfer portal wing. And so there has been a split in, okay, we need to put more attention on the transfer portal, dedicate a full-blown team to the transfer portal. But to your point, I don't think the rest of the college football landscape has embraced not only being older, but also like it's not necessarily about how good the majority or how good these sites think somebody is. It's how well does somebody fit into your football team, and that's what Indiana's been able to do really well. But no, the impressions thing was really funny, and I thought that what a power move by On3 to basically boost the profile of all of your guys, and also like drum up a whole bunch of conversation, and like we're talking about it. I'm like the Barstool guys spent the whole day talking about it, and everybody spent the whole day talking about On3. I thought it was brilliant.
Genius. They basically went out there and was just like, hey, we have like 53% of the impressions or whatever. Like that was Terry's main takeaway from the whole thing. So like honestly, genius marketing move by them. Everyone's been talking about them all day, which almost makes me not want to talk about them.
Well, it's just I
wanted to go back to the shift and the cool things that I talked about in terms of like, how On3 is the transfer portal wing and like direct correlation to, Indiana finding so much success through the portal and being able to win at the highest level, the pinnacle of what you can achieve in terms of a national championship, how they're able to do that. They recruited veterans, but the idea of I'm going to give this 5-star $8 million is just unwise. And I think people are starting to realize that, like, you can't give 18-year-olds millions of dollars. Like you just shouldn't do that. And if it's an 18-year-old that's entitled enough to think that they are deserving of millions of dollars without proving themselves in the next level, then I'd say that's a red flag right off the bat. Anyways, I mean, who's to say, who am I to, make those judgments? That's just how I would run it. And I believe that's how Indiana runs their program. I believe the freshmen get a stipend, if I'm not mistaken, but I feel like it's a set number and it's all spread evenly, and they might boost it up if you're a little of higher stature and they think you might play earlier than most true freshmen. But at Indiana, the team that just most recently won the national title, very few kids that are 1-2 years into college football are playing, and I think that is something that is of note. And I think people are starting to follow suit. And like we've been saying even before they won the national title, Indiana is setting the standard of how roster construction is managed in the NIL transfer portal era.
I stumbled across the Indiana like nutrition page or whatever on Instagram, which is like set up in a really cool way, and it's definitely like athlete focused, and I'm not even sure if it's supposed to technically be a public page. It's public facing, but you know what I mean. It's like click here for recipes and stuff like that, which is really cool. But the guys were chefing up a whole bunch of stuff, and there's a lot of those like younger guys on the team. It was really cool. But moving on into the smoke, Brad, there's a lot of NFL pundits falling in love with the Hoosiers. Like we watch this football team all season. It's not like the guys that stood out to us all year, and now the guys that are starting to stand out to these NFL guys as they dive into the tape. Lance Zierlein, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but I've been seeing him pop up on my feed because he's been talking about the guys. But he had a tweet about Riley Nowakowski last week saying that he's a better blocker than some of the offensive linemen in this draft, and it's not like talking down on some of these offensive linemen, but it's just a compliment to Nowakowski. We spent hours on this podcast talking about how important and how impactful he was, and we saw the way Indiana used him throughout the year. He also called Indiana's group of wide receivers catch bullies. I'm not sure I've ever seen that.
I like that term. It's so funny to me because we were like screaming from the mountaintops in the preseason about how Surratt was getting his flowers as he should be, but like no one was talking about Omar Cooper like they should have been. And we were already calling it out way before people were on it. And almost took people weren't even talking about him too much during the season. It really took the playoff run to really get attention on him, which is like so bizarre to learn about. I mean, kid had 12 touchdowns this past year. And it's fun. It's really funny to be like, how it's funny to realize how little people pay attention to certain teams, especially when they're a little more under the. I mean, it's hard to pay attention to. Obviously, we have the benefit of following the Hoosiers, so obviously we don't have as much insight on other teams as maybe a lot of general college pundits do. But when you are put a microscope on the Hoosiers like we do, this idea that Surratt and Cooper aren't first 2-day guys is asinine. It's fun to see people finally catch on to how talented Omar Cooper was. One of the few blue chip guys on the roster last year, has been that high level of guy, that's anticipated. There's roughly 300 4 or 5 stars blue chip guys in a cycle, which equates to about, those guys should get drafted between the 240 something picks that go on in the NFL draft every year. So obviously that, leaves room for other people. It's back to my point where it's these stars don't matter. It all comes down to who 4 years or three or 4 years from the recruiting cycle, who developed the most. Cause that transformation from age 18 to 22 is physically probably the biggest transformation you're going to make. And this idea that we can evaluate that so early on is, yes, there's early bloomers, but it kind of works against guys. A lot of the early bloomers that have the most hype are the ones that are the biggest flops because everyone catches up to them physically. And are they as good of a football player as those guys that maybe had to scrap and claw as maybe not as physical 17, 18-year-olds as they were late bloomers? I think people understand what I'm saying here, right? It's funny to see people catch on. And I mean, it's very clear. Mendoza, Pons, Surratt, Cooper, those guys are all going to go top 50 from the buzz that we're seeing. And if they don't, it would be very surprising. And what's awesome, did we talk about the combine invites yet, or are we getting to
We'll
that?
get there in a second.